The stainless steel counter is cold enough to burn the forearm if you lean on it too long, and they have been leaning on it for 20 minutes. Staring at the ring box sitting between a container of kosher salt and a prep list that will not be completed tonight. The kitchen is closed. The line cooks have gone home, smelling of fryer oil and exhaustion. The only light left on is the one above the pastry station, the one with the flickering filament that the owner keeps saying he will replace and never does. It makes the diamond small, old, purchased this afternoon from a pawn shop on 4th Street that smelled like mothballs and regret pulse like a heartbeat under glass. They are 26, maybe 27, young enough that their knees still bounce with unused energy even at 1 a.m. Young enough that their friends are still treating love like a sport, keeping score on group chats, collecting and discarding with the efficiency of people who believe time is infinite and options are endless. But they are not with their friends. They are here, in the silence of a kitchen that does not belong to them, holding a ring they cannot afford and staring at it with the kind of focus usually reserved for diffusing bombs. Because they have realized something that arrived not like weather, but like tectonics. A shift so deep it rearranged the floor plan of their future without asking permission. They do not just love you. They want to marry you. They are desperate to marry you. And the desperation is not the ugly kind. It is the desperation of a person who has finally seen the shore after swimming in open ocean for so long that their muscles had started to accept drowning as a lifestyle. It is the desperation of recognition, of, oh, there you are, of, I did not know I was looking for you until I found you, and now that I have found you, unfinding you is not a concept my heart can process. And the age gap? The years between you that you have been using as a shield, as evidence, as a reasonable objection, to them, those years are not a wall, they are a well. A deep, clear, ancient well full of the exact kind of water their soul has been dying to drink. You need to understand the architecture of this desire, Virgo, because your instinct will be to dismiss it. Your instinct will be to file it under infatuation, or phase, or young person confusing intensity for permanence. You have already begun drafting the gentle rejection in your head, the one that sounds like wisdom, the one that protects them from a mistake you are certain they will outgrow. You are preparing to be noble, to be the adult, to step back into the shadows of your own self-imposed limitations and let them run toward the horizon you think they need. Do not do that. Not because I am telling you to rush to the altar, but because you are wrong about what is happening inside them. You are measuring their heart with a ruler built for your own fears, and their heart does not fit your measurement. It never did. Let me tell you what they see when they look at you, because it is not what you see in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, you see the ledger of your years. You see the nights that did not go as planned. You see the relationships that taught you to lower your voice, to fold your wants into smaller and smaller squares, to make yourself manageable for people who were not built to handle your full volume. You see the evidence of time as a slow erosion, a gradual softening of edges that you once thought were sharp enough to cut glass. You see someone who has learned to be practical because hope hurt too much. But when they look at you, they see a cathedral. They see a structure that took decades to build. They see flying buttresses of experience. They see stained glass made from every color of disappointment you have ever survived, transformed by pressure and heat into something that throws light instead of shadow. They see vaults high enough to echo. They see a floor plan that does not shift with the wind. They see, in short, what they have been searching for without knowing the vocabulary to name it: permanence, not the boring permanence of a cage, the breathing permanence of a home that knows its own foundations. And here is the critical distinction, the one that separates this from every other connection you have had or dismissed. They are not looking to visit the cathedral. They are looking to live in it. They are not looking to date you. They are looking to marry you. And that difference is the width of the universe. Dating is tourism. Dating is trying the local cuisine, taking photographs, enjoying the view, knowing that the return ticket is already in your pocket. Dating is, I like this place. Marriage is, I am going to die in this place, and I want my bones to rest in its soil. Marriage is the decision to become native to a territory rather than a traveler through it. And your younger admirer has already made that decision. They made it quietly. They made it without consulting you. They made it while watching you do something you probably think was mundane: peeling an orange, answering an email, adjusting the thermostat with the same precision you bring to everything. And in that mundane moment, their future simply locked. The door closed behind them. The other exits disappeared. And they found themselves standing in a room with no windows and only one door, and your name was written on the lintel. They tried to tell themselves it was too soon. They tried to apply the brakes of their own social conditioning. I am too young to know this. I have not lived enough. I should explore more. I should date people my own age. I should follow the script that says you spend your 20s collecting experiences and your 30s narrowing them down. They tried. They went on the dates their friends set up. They sat across from bodies that were attractive and minds that were pleasant, and they felt nothing, not dislike, not boredom. The terrifying absence of recognition. The feeling of speaking a language fluently and meeting only people who had learned it from an app. The dates ended politely. The numbers were not saved. The stories they told their friends were edited to sound like just not the right fit when the truth was not the right species. Because you are a different species, Virgo. Not older in the way that trees are older than saplings, older in the way that mountains are older than weather. You do not change with the season. You change with the epoch. And this younger person who has spent their life being buffeted by the weather of other people's moods, other people's insecurities, other people's frantic need to be constantly entertained, has found in you a gravity that does not waver. They do not want to be entertained by you. They want to be held by you. Held the way a planet is held in orbit. Held the way a memory is held in stone. Held the way a vow is held in silence. And the marriage they are desperate for is not a wedding. Do not mistake the two. A wedding is a party. A wedding is a dress and a cake and a playlist and a hangover. Marriage is the architecture that remains when the party is over. Marriage is the decision to wake up every morning and choose the same gravity, to build a life not from the drama of falling, but from the discipline of standing, to become together a single structure that can withstand the pressure of time. Your admirer has seen, with a clarity that frightens them more than anything they have ever known, that they cannot build that structure with anyone else, because no one else has your foundations. No one else has your patience. No one else has the terrifying, beautiful, exacting standard of integrity that you bring to the smallest gestures. They have watched you, Virgo. They have studied you like a text they know will be on the final exam of their life. They have noticed the way you do not perform affection for an audience, the way you remember the thing they mentioned once in passing and deliver it 3 weeks later without fanfare. The way your anger, when it comes, is clean. It does not linger. It does not collect interest. It says what needs to be said, and then it dissipates, leaving the air clearer than before. The way your love is not a weather pattern, but a climate, not a storm, but a season. They have watched you love, and they have understood in the marrow where their deepest knowing lives that this is the only love they will ever trust enough to build a life inside. And the desperation is real. It is the sound of a person who has found the answer to a question they thought was rhetorical. Is there anyone who will not leave? Is there anyone who will not lie? Is there anyone whose presence does not depend on my performance, my convenience, my ability to be constantly interesting? They had asked these questions so many times that they had stopped expecting answers. They had accepted, with the resignation of their generation, that love was a subscription service, that it renewed monthly, that it required constant content, that the moment you stopped producing, you were downgraded, unsubscribed, replaced by a newer model with better features. And then you happened. You who do not require content, you who do not need them to be interesting because you find them interesting in their stillness, you who can sit in silence for an hour and have it feel like conversation, you who do not treat love like a transaction but like a territory. You have ruined the subscription model for them. You have shown them that love can be ownership not of each other, but of the space between, joint tenancy of a life. And now that they have seen it, they cannot unsee it. They cannot go back to the app. They cannot go back to the party. They cannot go back to the shallow end of the pool where everyone is treading water and calling it swimming. They want the deep end. They want the pressure. They want the marriage. But Virgo, I need to talk to the part of you that is already preparing to run. Because that part is loud. That part is armed with evidence. That part has a file folder labeled Reasons This Cannot Work, and it is thick with newspaper clippings from your past. The time you were too much for someone, the time you were not enough, the time you loved precisely and thoroughly, and it was still returned to sender. That part of you is standing at the door of your heart with a broom, ready to sweep this younger person out before they track mud on the floor. And that part of you is terrified for a reason you have not named. You are not terrified that they are too young. You are terrified that they are too right. You are terrified that their recognition of you is accurate. That you are, in fact, the person they see. The cathedral, the gravity, the home. And if their recognition is accurate, then you are no longer allowed to hide behind the comfortable narrative of your own insufficiency. You are no longer allowed to say, no one wants the real me because someone is standing in front of you wanting the real you so badly they are shaking. You are no longer allowed to be invisible. Invisibility, for a Virgo who has learned to survive by being useful rather than seen, is the most terrifying exposure there is. You think the age gap means they will outgrow you. But growth is not linear. They will not outgrow you because you are not a phase. You are a destination, and destinations do not get outgrown. They get arrived at. The person they will be in 10 years is already looking at you with the same eyes, because the eyes that recognize home do not change with the face around them. They will not wake up at 35 and suddenly need someone younger. They will wake up at 35 and thank whatever force governs their life that they locked in the foundation when they had the sense to recognize it. You are not a detour. You are the address. And the marriage they want is not a trap for you. It is a shelter from them. They have lived in the chaos of temporary. They have felt the nausea of not knowing if they will be chosen tomorrow. They have performed their way through relationships that expired like milk. And they have decided, with the fierce, unwavering certainty of someone who has finally tasted clean water, that they will not drink from a contaminated well again. They want to marry you because marriage done right is the end of performance. It is the beginning of presence. It is the contract that says, I have seen your worst and your best and the boring middle, and I am still here. I will still be here. I choose the boring middle with you. They want the boring middle, Virgo. They want the Tuesday nights, the grocery lists, the way you fold towels, the way you hum when you think no one is listening, the way you get quiet when you are processing and they have learned not to take it personally. They want the right to witness your ordinary life because your ordinary life is more extraordinary than anyone else's highlight reel. They want the right to be the person who hands you the remote when you are too tired to reach it, to be the person who knows your coffee order without asking, to be the person who gets to say my wife or my husband or my person and have it mean not possession but partnership. They are desperate for this because they know, with a knowing that precedes language, that time is not infinite. Not because they are morbid, but because they are awake. They have seen people their own age treat love like it is renewable, and they have watched the renewable love run out. They have seen the apps empty out into ghost towns. They have seen the parties end with everyone going home alone. They have seen the future that their generation is being sold, and they have looked at it and said no. They have said, I want the old way. I want the hard way. I want the way that requires a vow and a witness and a commitment that cannot be deleted with a swipe. And they want that way with you. You need to hear this next part with your whole chest open, because it is the part that will make you cry in the car later when you think no one is watching. They are not desperate because they are young and impulsive. They are desperate because they are wise. Their soul is old, Virgo, older than their body, older than their years. It is a soul that has done this before in another life, in another century, and it has found you again and recognized you immediately. The body is young, the soul is ancient, and the soul is the one making the demand. The soul is the one holding the ring box in the kitchen at 1 a.m, sweating through its shirt, rehearsing the speech that will not be perfect because nothing true ever is. The speech will probably be terrible. They will probably stumble. They will probably say, I know this is crazy, and I know the timing is wrong, and I know you probably think I'm too young to know what I want. They will say all the things you are already thinking, because they have been living in your head too, studying your objections, trying to find the key that unlocks the door you keep closed. They do not have the key. No one has the key but you. But they are standing at the door with a ring and a heartbeat and a willingness to wait as long as it takes for you to turn the lock from the inside. And when they ask, because they are going to ask soon in a way that cannot be ignored or deflected or filed under. Maybe later you are going to feel the full weight of your own history pressing down on your lungs. You are going to feel every time you settled for less, every time you accepted breadcrumbs and called them a meal. Every time you told yourself that your standards were the problem, that your depth was the obstacle, that your need for something real was a character flaw that you needed to outgrow, all of that history will show up to the conversation. It will sit in the chair between you. It will try to speak for you. It will try to say, "We have been hurt before. We cannot risk this again." But you must speak over it. You must say, with a voice that shakes because shaking is the only honest way to say it, "I hear you. I see you. I am terrified. And I am willing to be terrified with you." Because that is the marriage, not the absence of fear, the shared presence in it, the decision to build a home in the earthquake zone because the view is worth it, the decision to plant trees that will not bear fruit for 20 years because you trust the soil, the decision to look at a younger person whose body has not yet collected all the scars yours has, and to say, "I will teach you what I know, and you will teach me what you know, and together we will build something that neither of us could build alone." The age gap is not the story. The story is the recognition. The story is the desperation of a soul that has finally found its matching frequency and will not be talked out of tuning to it. The story is the ring box on the stainless steel counter. The story is the kitchen at 1 a.m, empty of everyone but the two people who are about to decide together that the old rules about who can love whom and when and how are just noise, just weather, just the small talk of a world that has forgotten what commitment looks like when it is young and fierce and absolutely certain. They are certain, Virgo. They are more certain than you are. And their certainty is not naivety. It is a gift. It is the gift of someone who has not yet learned to doubt their own knowing. And they are offering that gift to you, wrapped in a younger body, delivered with trembling hands, asking only that you receive it before the world teaches them to be less sure. Do not teach them to be less sure. Do not be the lesson that makes them cynical. Be the confirmation that makes them brave. Be the yes that echoes back through their life every time they tell the story of how they knew. Take the ring, take the vow. Take the terrifying, beautiful, irrevocable step into a future that does not ask you to be younger or cooler or less complicated than you are. It only asks you to be present, to be willing, to be married not just to them, but to the version of yourself that finally agrees to be chosen. The kitchen light is still flickering. The ring is still on the counter. The congelateur hums its one-note song. And the person holding their breath on the other side of the room is waiting for an answer that only you can give. Give it. Not with perfection, not with all your doubts resolved. Give it with your hands open and your voice steady and your heart finally agreeing to come out of the fortress it built and into the home that has been waiting. Say yes, not because you are sure. Say yes because you are sure enough, because they are sure enough for both of you. Because the only thing more frightening than marrying them is living in a world where you let them go. The ring is warm now, warm from their palm, warm from the waiting. Take it, put it on. Not on your finger yet, put it on your heart. Let it settle there, let it anchor you. Let it remind you every morning that someone looked at all your years, all your walls, all your terrifying exactitude, and said, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is who I marry. And let yourself believe at last that they are right.